Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on another video. Today we're going to do my weekly check-in and paycheck budget closeout for the first week of April. I did not post a budget with me for the first week of April because the week just got away from me, but I did do a budget after I did a little spending. So some of my actual numbers are really close to my budgeted amount because I did my budget like on Friday after I already knew what we got paid and after I had to go to the grocery store and things like that, but I did it nonetheless. So I'm going to show you guys what we spent for the week. It wasn't much, about a half of a page. We did have some expenses that I forgot to plan for that I knew were coming up, like doctor's appointments, and I just forgot to plan for them. So it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing we have here is Brian's income. It was $1,300. Brian got gas in his truck for $108, and that came out of the cars category. I went to the doctor and had to pay a copay of $25, which came out of our medical category. I was given a prescription at the doctor, which was $824, and that came out of medical. And I also bought a blood pressure monitor for $46.99, which came out of medical. $230 came out for our ViStar credit card payment. $70 came out for our Synchrony credit card payment. We bought some stuff from Sam's Club, and that was exactly $101. We got some food from Walmart for $175.72, which came out of the groceries. We went to Publix and got produce, and that was $38.17. I got gas in my truck for $77.14, which came out of the cars category. We made $60 on Facebook Marketplace by doing some reselling. My instant ink subscription came out. It was $1.59. Carter's tuition came out for $4.35. I went to the Dollar General to grab a couple of things that I forgot at the grocery store or didn't think about when I made my grocery list. And that was $8.34. Brian took $40 out of our account and I just labeled it as blow money. He told me he was going to go get some inserts for his shoes, like he does wear like the Dr. Scholl's or whatever, whatever he finds comfortable in his shoes because he's on his feet like 10 hours a day. So he just took $40 out of our account, so I just labeled it as blow money for him. And I did put $40 into our account because him taking that $40 made it negative, so I added $40 from our savings account to bring our account total to $34.81. Lastly, but not least, I didn't highlight here, is our kids' allowance. For this week, they earned $10.50. Which brought us to $24.31 to roll over into the second week of April. Okay, so for income, Brian did put in $1,300. I didn't get paid this week. We did put in $60 from reselling, plus the $40 we got out of our savings account. So that's $100. So all of that added up is $1,400. Our instant ink subscription was $1.59. Carter's tuition was $4.35. Synchrony was $70. And ViStar was $2.30. If you add all of that up, you get $736.59. Subtract that from our income of $1,400, and that would leave $663.41. Okay. For groceries this week, we spent, well, let me look at my spreadsheet, $323.23. And for cars, we spent $185.14. We didn't eat out. We didn't spend anything in household. We didn't spend anything in pets. Oh, by the way, now that we're at the pets, I have something very controversial to tell you guys. I know that everyone does not feel the same about the topic I'm about to discuss. However, we have rehomed Duke and Rusty. So before we got Duke and Rusty, we had a German Shepherd, and he died when he was 15, and that happened in 2022, I want to say. So no, he must have died in 2021, and then in 2022 we got Duke and Rusty in August, and they would have been 2, or they will be 2 next month. And we were just having the hardest time keeping them in our yard. As you know, we have 2 acres of property. We have a doggy door. So they were able to come and go in the house and on the property, you know, as they wished. But they loved, and I mean loved, to chase cars, bicycles, ATVs. We live in the country, so the ATVs come by sometimes when the kids are riding, cars come up and down the street, people riding their bikes, and they love to chase wheels. So our fence in the very front of our property is 8 feet high, and on the other 3 sides, it was 5 feet high. And when I tell you, these dogs would jump the fence constantly. When there was something on the other side of the fence that they really wanted. And they weren't vicious dogs. You know, I know how people feel about Rottweilers, but they weren't vicious dogs. Once they got out, you know, they weren't trying to bite any person. You know, they just wanted to chase the vehicle. And, you know, if someone was on the outside of the fence, you know, they would be cautious of them because they didn't know them. The dogs would be cautious of the person. But once they got to know you, you know, they loved you. They were very sweet dogs. So it was just very hard for me to keep them in our yard. Even with the dog, you know, we had a dog collar, the electric fence, the invisible fence. When the invisible fence stopped working a few weeks ago, I told you guys that they got in our chicken coop and killed some of our chickens. Well, that's how I found out the invisible fence wasn't working anymore. The receiver we had just completely went out with no warning. It wasn't giving off a signal that it wasn't working. It had the green light, like everything was okay. The only reason I knew was because we have that electrical fence around the chicken coop. And if they were able to go past it into the chicken coop, then obviously it wasn't working, which also, you know, enabled them to jump over the fence. So we had the wire there, but then again, if they wanted to, if they felt like the shock was worth it, they could go through that invisible fence and go to the actual fence. We put garbage cans in front of the fence. We put burn barrels, like stacked up 55-gallon drums in front of the fence to keep them from jumping over the fence. But it just got to be too much with Brian working retail and working various hours. Me being here with them, with the kids most of the time, and them getting out and me having to run them down or worry about them getting hit by a car because they do like chasing cars, or someone, them going on someone's property and them thinking they might be vicious dogs and hurting them. It was just too much for me. I couldn't take it anymore. So I said all that to say, we did rehome Duke and Rusty to a very nice couple who lives down the street from us. We have a neighborhood like Facebook page, and I posted that I wanted to rehome them on there. And a man and his wife who lost their Rottweiler at 16 in November took both Duke and Rusty. When Duke and Rusty met them, they immediately loved the wife. Like, they were all over her. They immediately loved her. And I felt comfortable with them going with them, that they're going to have a good life and a great life with these folks. So I know everyone doesn't agree with like rehoming their dogs and things like that, but they were just too high strung, too much trouble for what it was worth, between them getting out, between them killing our chickens. That was the second time they had killed our chickens. Um, it just wasn't working out. So I think the people who have them now are happy with them, and I think the pups are happy with them also. And we're happier here without having to worry about, are the dogs in the yard? Have they gotten out? Are they in the chicken coop? You know, it was just too much. So we did rehome Duke and Rusty. So we don't have dogs anymore. We only have chickens and turkeys. So I don't know if I want to keep this as pets. I'm thinking about changing it to homestead, because the chickens and turkeys aren't our pets. They're eventually going to be, you know, birds that we eat. We have a rooster so that we can raise meat birds. We have a male turkey so that we can raise meat turkeys. So I'm thinking about changing this to like homestead, and garden things will come out of this also. But for now it says pets. Anything you see in pets going forward is going to be for like the chickens and turkeys that we have, not dogs. For kids, we took out $10.50 for their allowance. For medical, we spent $80.23. For clothes, we didn't spend anything. And personal money, Brian took $40, and there was no unbudgeted. So all of this adds up to be $639.10. And if we subtract that from $663.41, that leaves $24.31. And the only thing we're doing with that $24.31 is rolling it over to the next week to give us a zero-based budget. So I was pretty bummed that Brian's check was only $1,300 this week. I thought we would be on the up and up with the $1,400. I asked him about the overtime and the extra day, and he was like, it's day by day if they're saying we can have overtime or if we can pick up an extra day. So he can't guarantee that he can make the $1,400. So from now on, I'm just going to base our budget off of $1,300, even if he gives me $1,400 3 weeks in a row, because I can't deal with the stress of planning for that money and it not being there, you know? So I think we'll just have to shortchange our savings. And if we get more, then let it go to savings instead of putting it in there and directing it to savings. And then we don't have it and we can't put any in. Then if we just flip it around and budget less and then put no savings, once we do get extra money, we can put the savings into the account. Also, I did change my withholding on my pay because I did get a raise. I got a 3% increase, which wasn't a lot. My boss said everybody got 3% just because of the state of the economy. You know, sales have slowed down. So I feel grateful to have gotten 3%. Some people haven't even gotten that out there in the world. So since I did get a 3% raise, I did adjust my withholding, and I don't know what it's going to be. I'm anticipating it being $1,400, so $250 being taken out for taxes. So we'll see on Thursday when I get paid if that's what it is. If it's less than that, then I'm gonna cry. Like, I would think. Let's see, 250 times 26 is $6,500. So I think we would owe like $5,000 if I didn't adjust my withholding. So that's like $1,500 more than I think we would owe. And Brian has money taken out of his check also. I'm trying to find that sweet spot where we don't owe and we don't get a return, you know, like I want to be able to use our money all year long and not get a big return. So we'll just have to see what it looks like when I get paid. Like I'm anxious AF about it right now. So just so you know. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate all of your support. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.